changes up in a big, big way on this third side of the draft, it's going to be the same story again.
Do you think they're just going to go for Taka? It hasn't worked twice in a row.
No, I think this Crystal Taka really isn't working. And like Fuji said, they need to majorly rethink their draft strategy.
Well, they've got a little bit of time to rethink it because they've seen the Scarf locked in on first rotation here for Hammer's Velocity. Celeste comes out. Is this a promising change?
I definitely think it is a change, but they need some guaranteed lockdown for the Scarf. Like, I mean, like, throw a Catherine out there or something. Like, I can't say this draft is really what I would have expected from TSM. They literally seem to just not care about the Scarf, making me a little crazy up here thinking about other draft opportunities they could have went with, but they're just letting Hammer's Velocity play this kind of late game.
I hate to throw this curveball out here, but would you have even maybe preferred Finn over something like an Arden? We haven't seen Finn all Worlds.
I definitely think Finn's an option, but because of the fact that you can just easily go into a Catherine or something like that to stop a lot of this rush.
Okay, Hammer's Velocity throwing another curveball out here on the final game of this best of 5. Rona comes through.
Kestrel is going to give varied damage sources and a lot of poke to Team SoloMid. Is going to kind of force Velocity to maybe engage fights. And if they do that with a Scarf, that could go horribly wrong.
Well, Vonsi's trying to engage onto Aloha here. Doesn't realize Vans is around the corner. Misses the Impale. Does hit the Githian wall. And Aloha did not get that Treant either, so it's going to be an advantage for Vonsi. If that Impale had hit,
he wanted it.
Vonsi, he's wanted it all day. With those Taka picks, he's been very aggressive, and on this Kestrel, it doesn't look like he's going to play any differently.
You know, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and I can't believe that we haven't mentioned it, Vonsi's playing Kestrel. It's actually been quite some time since he's really put much attention to this hero. It's mostly been going to Best Chuck NA on the side of Team SoloMid. But if you think back to spring, I think it was, you know, this was the hero that Vonsi really broke out on. A lot of fans know him for his Kestrel. He's always played it in kind of a stylistically different way too. I'm interested to see if he can make that work. Maybe just having the raw power of this player on this hero is actually what TSM needs.
It's talking about being on comfort picks as well. It's the reason Zio's on the Scar. It's the reason as well, perhaps, Flash X is on the Arden, very comfortable on that Roma, and then Vonsi, signature champion, is the Kestrel. He's going to go in onto Zio. There's the Vanguard core, Flash comes down as well, Zio's locked up, they just need one more shot, and Vonsi has no fear, he just wants to fight as he takes first blood.
He really does, and I love that play. Pairing a Kestrel with an Arden does mean that you can go in with the active camo stealth, pair it up with a Vanguard, and kick things off. With that little slow you get, you can then maybe land a core collapse, right? So this is a composition which can deal quite nicely with the lane in the early game. And we're noticing them not put as much pressure on the enemy jungle. Maybe that's because they've decided the way we're going to deal with Zio is actually to deal with Zio in the early game.
Yeah, and if you can take the Scarf out of the equation, you mitigate a lot of the damage coming out from Hammer's Velocity late game. This Rona adaptation, though, does allow Velocity to have a little bit more pressure sometimes. Yes, Chuck's going to knock back here into the goop, should be able to run his way away, but the Rona adaptation does work well into a Kestrel. It's something Fuji's been talking about over the last... Oh! I don't think either of us expected him to die there. He was taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, I did not expect it. I won't lie to you. I did not expect it. I think having the heavy steal pretty early here means that the last basic just did a bit more than Vanes was probably expecting too. That's the second kill for Team SoloMid. They're about 1,000 gold in the lead. Vonsi on his signature hero is doing some serious work.
That he is. Already got a bit of a farm advantage as well in that jungle, about 6 farm ahead. Zio's gone towards that heavy prism, just building up some crystal power underneath his belt, but that's exactly what Best Chuck wants to do as well. He's almost up towards that broken myth, and these 2 long-range crystal power carries are going to be very impactful as we get a little bit further into the game.
Gotta feel bad for our graphics guys. They updated the Vonsi one to show Koshka, I think, yesterday, and they might have to put it back. Yeah. That could
Castro
happen.
tomorrow, if they... tomorrow? None of us are here tomorrow. Castro later on today, if they do get to finals. But Hammer's Velocity are standing in their path, and they've been standing firm for the last 2 games.
So one thing I think we now need to talk about is Aloha and this Rona. We've seen basically nothing out of him this game so far. It's only 5 minutes in, which isn't too long. But how is it really going to work? Look at this Vonsi trying a different angle this time. Great Githian wall.
That's what Vanes has to do, but the glimmers still come out. Impale misses. Aloha was waiting just around the corner. Does have the red miss, pops the boots, but won't quite be able to get onto Vonsi.
Small things like popping the boots there can really backfire later on. So definitely keep your eye on that cooldown. See if Aloha finds himself in a bit of a sticky situation later. Vonsi, he's going to active camo again.
here is trying to get onto Zeo. Flash X dives in, tanks up the turret, but Zeo does just get away. One shot, one kill, not going to connect either. Hammer's Velocity need to work out exactly how they're going to deal with this pressure in the lane, because this is what TSM talks about, especially Flash X, putting 3 people up here. Aloha onto Chuck, gets caught out in the core collapse, and the Impale from Vains not quite going to connect.
So, just in the same way that when we saw Rona Blackfeather earlier today, I mentioned that they were trying to get onto Kestrel, but they were worried about an active camo. And that came into effect quite a number of times. Against Best Chuck on the Celeste, it's kind of the same deal. If you save Core Collapse and just place it at your feet, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit someone who's jumping on top of you. Aloha needs a reflex block, I think, before they can really get into fights. The problem is he also needs Serpent's Mask. So Velocity, they're going to be able to do some stuff later on. Team SoloMid definitely compositionally still firmly favored in this mid game.
And that's one of the strengths you have with Kestrel as well. She's always going to be strong in the mid game, whether you build her crystal power or weapon power. I'm sure Fuji would say you should never really build her crystal power. Weapon power is just slightly stronger across the board. Vonsi looking for it once again with the active camo. And just one glimmer takes Zeo low. One shot, one kill takes him down to half HP. Does have to pop those potions. This is what TSM need to do. Just get that poke damage down, get the long-range aggression out, and then force Hammer's Velocity to have to think about whether they can take the fight.
There's the Serpent's Mask for Aloha. He picks it up around minute 7. I think this does provide a window of opportunity here for maybe some fights. The key thing is that they need to wait for TSM to initiate on them, but kind of bait it, right? So they need to know Vonsi's coming in stealth. They can't be surprised. They gotta have Aloha nearby. But if they let him get close and then use a good Githian wall, timed with an Enter the Fray, I think Aloha can really take Team SoloMid by surprise with the amount of damage and pressure that he can apply right now.
That he can. Zeo now picks up his Broken Myth, ever so slightly behind Best Chuck, and it looks like Zeo's actually getting himself a reflex block as well. He turns onto Vonsi, but he doesn't realize the damage that's going to come out from the side. Gauntlet used, Zeo's dead to the Solar Storm. Vonsi in the active camo will be able to take out Aloha, who's stunned up as well. Team SoloMid positioned perfectly and take 2 kills.
Yeah, that was very nice positioning coming out of them. Vonsi knows the limits when he's playing Kestrel. He actually stood in the goop for the entire duration that it was burning, something I would not recommend to you guys the next time you're playing ranked just because you want to kill someone. But in this situation, it works. He had the Vanguard giving him a bit of extra defense coming out of Flash, and Best Chuck backing him up with damage from a distance means that it's hard, for example, for Aloha to really say, Zeo, I got your back, right? Because he's just going to go down 2.
Have a look at these item spikes as well. Best Chuck is an entire item ahead of Zeo with that Eve of Harvest. Flash X has completed his War Treads. Vains is still sitting on tier 1 boots. He is so far behind. He has got 1,500 gold in his back pocket, or 15,000 as you would say, in his back pocket, and can build up towards it. But it will take him a little bit of time to actually get there, and he decides instead of War Treads that he needs some armor and gets himself a coat of plates.
I do like that pickup. I think getting this coat of plates is going to help him a lot right now. I do want to focus on a few other items, though. Flash X having War Treads here is really, really big, because Team SoloMid want to be able to engage very quickly if Zeo's out of position, but they also want to be able to disengage very, very quickly if Vains and Aloha get themselves onto, for example, Best Chuck. So this offers some versatility that I think is going to be very key in the mid-game. You can see Vonsi, remember I was saying he plays Kestrel a little bit differently? He does. He puts so much pressure on to create so much space. The only other person who's had this kind of impact just in terms of space created is Druid.
TSM are looking for the fight here. Solar Storm does come out. Flash doesn't quite have the gauntlet. It was 6 seconds away, but they get themselves another turret. 9 minutes into this game. Velocity just don't have an answer to this TSM aggression.
Honestly, I think this is a big part of the reason why Kestrel is just so favored in the East Asian meta, right? Because if you're forcing fights in the middle lane, Kestrel has poke and turret damage very early on, and as soon as Vonsi lands 1 or 2 glimmer shots, the turret dies. Vains doesn't really want to invest in those minion candies. Look at how much damage he's taking trying even to get to the gold miner.
Gold miner is low. Vonsi is just that front line for the team here. TSM take the gold mine, 5,000 gold ahead, only 10 minutes in now. And Hammer's Velocity are licking their wounds and just trying to work out if there's something in their playbook to get them back into this matchup.
The thing is, we've seen varying degrees of this over the last 2 games, the ones which Velocity won with the Scarf, right? Pretty much every single game, Team SoloMid has had a bit of an edge coming into the mid-game, coming into the late game, but it hasn't been enough. So Velocity probably aren't sweating too much yet. They know that they can come back. It's a question of stalling this out long enough. And I think the way that they do that is lots of vision. I would like to see Vaynes having scout traps maybe more than flares and just playing super far back. Take this to 20 minutes, take this to 25 minutes. You don't want to risk it. It's your last chance to make it to the finals.
Winner of this goes to Worlds. The loser will be knocked out of the... goes to Worlds? Goes to Finals. The loser will be knocked out.
Goes to
the
third
Worlds
place.
Semi-final, yeah, we'll go to the third, fourth place playoff, which is happening later on after the semi-final, in fact. But TSM once again push in as a three-man squad, looking to break this choke point that Hammer's Velocity will desperately try and hold. Zeo takes a one-shot from Vainglory, something we've seen time and time again this game.
Like that thread in the needle there from Vainglory. Vainglory, his build is actually kind of interesting. I'm trying to see. Oh, there we go. So his gold is actually pretty good. He should be picking up the Tyrant's Monocle anytime now. He is making his way towards that shop. I think with that, I would like to see Team SoloMid start pressuring again. Like maybe just go for the turret. That would be a good opportunity for them to not allow Velocity any more time. I'd also like to see Aloha pick up some more defense. He's got a heavy steal on top of that Serpent's Mask, which I'm guessing is going towards a breaking point, but I don't know if that's what he needs to prioritize right now.
I think some defense would definitely pay off for him. Vainglory is doing a huge amount of work in stealing away the jungle once again. Goldmine is on the cards pretty soon as well. Probably get that about the 14-minute mark or so. TSM at the moment have complete control of both the jungles, of the turret push as well. One shot, one kill onto Aloha. This is what Vainglory's been doing time and time again this game, is just using that for pressure, getting glimmer shots out, pushing back onto Hammer's Velocity. And Hammer's Velocity have not found the key to being able to win these fights yet.
One thing that may end up being very key, though, is Zeo getting an Eve of Harvest, and he's actually very close. Team SoloMid hasn't accomplished so much in the past couple of minutes, and as a result, Zeo's just sitting there farming up very safely under that choke point turret. He has enough gold now, I think. Yep, there's the Eve of Harvest. That's really going to allow for him to say, all right, Vainglory, you poked me a little bit. You did get that damage down. Maybe Best Chuck poked him a little bit, but he can then turn around. And we've seen a few times very spectacularly where he's done that in the past couple of games, and that's been the reason why Velocity makes the comeback.
Velocity looking to make the ultimate comeback as well. One shot, one kill, not quite going to connect. Vaynes just clearing out scout traps. This would be a reverse sweep for Velocity if they are able to take Team SoloMid down. And Goldmine does, sorry, the Trient goes over to Zeo, so he's securing a little bit of his own jungle there. Still about half an item behind Best Chuck, who has got himself a heavy prism alongside that even Broken Myth. And this is one point I want to bring up. I think the Celeste in this composition perhaps does a little bit more for Team SoloMid than we've seen their compositions do previously.
Yeah, I certainly agree to a certain extent. It's making it really hard for Aloha and Vaynes to pull the trigger and maybe do something here. But at the same time, Velocity, I think they're quite happy to play defensively. Just wait for a later stage in the game. So you do have to question whether or not Team SoloMid are going to see the same level of success later on once that Scarf really ramps up. Best Chuck does contest that damage a little bit better, though, so perhaps I think honestly things are going to be very even. But we'll see. I mean, ages now for Flash, sorry. I just wanted to point that out because obviously against the Scarf, that's pretty key.
It is key. You could have gone for Gauntlet as well, of course, and maybe trying to block out those impales coming out from Vaynes, but he's trusting his team that they can use their reflex blocks themselves. Best Chuck doesn't even have a reflex block, so if Vaynes can get on top of him and stun him and lock him down, that is going to be a very dead Celeste. But as you said previously, has got the core collapse, has got the ability to escape, and a lot of it comes down to his positioning.
Aloha literally just bought a breaking point, so if TSM go in here, Aloha is quite a bit stronger than he was previously. You were talking about slot efficiency earlier. He couldn't actually upgrade too much for a long time. The problem is, I still don't entirely agree with the breaking point as a whole. That's going to be the gold mine going across. Vaughn's looking for some poke.
A couple of Spitfires have connected here as well. No Frostburn on Zeo yet. Best Chuck has his own, so if those Helios hit, Hammer's Velocity will be slowed up. Also, no War Treads for Velocity yet. Metal Jacket picked up on Vaynes, almost at that War Treads mark. Now he'll be able to buy it if he wants to go back. But Flash X has Shiver Steel, Aegis, War Treads, and the Fountain. He is 2 items ahead of his opponent.
I tell you, Best Chuck's doing his Druid impersonation in this game, farming like an absolute monster with 171 at around about 15 minutes. This is really giving him a big advantage that can't be undersold. Kraken's being taken, though. This could be the opportunity for Velocity to come back if they can steal it. They're trying to go in.
Getting on to best Chuck. Kraken low. Here's the gauntlet. Zeo might be caught out. Voncee's going to go all the way out to the back line. Zeo still has the Dragon's Breath. Vanes is dead. Flash X in the front line. What was that? The Supernova was huge. One shot, one kill. Doesn't connect onto Aloha, and he stops the ace. But now there's a Kraken pushing into the base for Team SoloMid.
He stopped the ace for now. Vancey was really chasing that one hard with the speed boosts of active camo and the Vanguard. Aloha trying to back away. He doesn't realize Vancey's coming in.
Oh, the Glimmer will connect, but Aloha dodges up just enough to get himself away. 6 seconds on Vanes, 7 on Zeo. This is Hammer's Velocity last stand.
This is at least one turret if Team SoloMid want to play it as safe as humanly possible. If they want to be a bit risky, they could go for, you know, a lot more here. So really, Velocity needs to be careful.
Kraken hasn't even taken damage yet. First damage it takes is from the turret exploding. One shot, one kill, not going to connect. TSM perhaps looking for the win here. They can smell blood in the water. And Hammer's Velocity are making their final stand. Here's Vanes, gets onto Flash X, Vancey, active camo, red miss from Aloha on the backline.
Nice
Chuck is low, Chuck might fall, the fountain is huge though, and Vanes just about alive as well. Dragon's Breath onto best Chuck and A, still Vancey alive. Zeo's dead! Team SoloMid, Aloha will get Chuck! The Kraken's still pushing in, and Flash X is just a distraction now. Aloha and Vanes need to go for this Kraken. Flash X looking to make the big play for his team. He'll go for the turret himself. Will get knocked into it. The Kraken takes the crystal turret down and now turns his attention to the crystal. Flash X trying to help it out, but I don't think he can do it. Aloha with the red mist will stop the Kraken, and Flash X will fall as well. Hammer's Velocity hold on to hope.
Man, but it is just barely. The Vayne Crystal is bare right now. Team SoloMid could try and push in at any point. That fight, Team SoloMid took a long time to pull the trigger on. And actually, I think if they'd gone a bit quicker, maybe it goes differently, because Aloha had a really good opening to jump on the backline. Zeo had a lot of space for quite some time. But man, Velocity, they're showing this still got the potential, and you can't underestimate the bounties, right? The Kraken gold going across there. Yes, it's still like a 6,000 gold lead to Team SoloMid, but at the around 18-minute mark, the value of each coin starts to degrade a little bit because you're running out of slots. You know, everyone is getting to the point where they're closer to fully built. Velocity, I don't think they're out of this yet. I think they're close, though.
They've got 5 turrets to push through and have no turrets of their own. Team SoloMid looking to close it out, looking to get up against Phoenix Armada in those grand finals. But as you say, it's not over until the crystal falls. Hammer's Velocity know that better than any other team, and they are holding on to this game by the scruff of its neck.
They are indeed. So let's have a look at some items before we head into what could be our last fight. You never know when that's going to break out. Speaking of breaking out, it's actually going to happen right now.
Chuck's caught. There he goes into the wall with a Githian. Zeo trying to do what he can from the backline. Takes a Solar Storm to the base. But a great Githian wall.
Oh, what?
He's dead. Chuck's dead. I can't believe it. Hammer's Velocity turned on his head. They'll take down Flash X.
Kraken back to the team.
Is there. Everything conspires against TSM as Hammer's Velocity take the ace and take the Kraken down.
Man, Velocity, if they turn this around, it might have been the biggest turnaround I've seen since the last time they turned things around on Team SoloMid back in winter. What an incredible fight. You got to question Vancey there, though. He really wanted to get the active camo stun down onto Aloha. He held a basic attack for so long. As a result, Zeo was fine on the backline. Vane's massive credit for just pulling the trigger, going for the impale. Kraken going the way of Velocity. Sona, they might make this happen.
It's a possibility. It is a possibility, Action Jackson. A couple of seconds ago, I would have said it was the 1%. Now, it seems more like 50-50 to me. Both these teams at 2 wins in this series. It's a best of 5. And now they're pushing in with the Kraken.
Can we honestly say it's 50-50? I mean, Hammer's Velocity of Kraken right now, and they've got Scarf. They've hit the late game. Every time this has happened this series, Velocity has just turned things around and steamrolled every other fight.
They have 3 turrets and a choke point to get through, though. Even with the Kraken, I think it's a tough ask for them. TSM with their last stand, with their last defense. Here's Impale onto Vancey. The group comes down, but Vancey gets out. Kraken still pushing in, red missed by Aloha up towards the top side. This will be the turret down. Impale does not connect. Veins is dead. There's the Solar Storm onto Aloha as well. The Kraken
Zio.
is being left. Zio with a huge Dragon's Breath onto Von C. Aloha trying to jump in there as well, but the active camo is just too darn much. Spitfire after Spitfire connecting, but it looks like TSM might have this one in the bag. Chuck jumps onto a scout trap. Zio taken low.
He's got no energy.
Zio
He's
has
got no
no
energy.
and will get taken down.
Oh my god!
TSM are going to the finals.
What a game! That was absolutely insane. The Kraken, yes, he's trying to push, but there is no way against Fonzie and Bestchuk. He's winning that race with no turrets left for Velocity. This is all over. Team SoloMid do not get reverse swept. They hold on, but are they going to be able to do this against Phoenix Armada later on today? Look at the expressions on their faces, man. Flash is so relieved.
There's only 3 things I can say, Action Jackson. TSM as they